I need to talk about what happened with my roommate last winter, because I have never fully processed it, and I think writing it out is the only way I'm going to. His name was Daniel. We'd been roommates for about 8 months, met through a housing app, seemed compatible on paper, turned out to be compatible in practice too. He was quiet, kept his spaces clean, worked remotely, didn't bring people over at weird hours. I was working early shifts at the time and he respected that. We weren't close friends, but we were good roommates, which is honestly a more important and rarer thing. The first time I noticed something was a Wednesday in January. I'd gotten up at around 2:30 in the morning to use the bathroom. Our apartment was a standard 2-bedroom, shared bathroom between us in the hallway, and when I opened my door, Daniel was standing in the kitchen. Standing, still, facing the window over the sink. I said his name. He didn't respond. I said it again, louder. Nothing. I came down the hallway and stood at the kitchen entrance and looked at him. He was wearing the clothes he'd been in when I'd said goodnight, jeans, a gray shirt, and he was standing completely still at the kitchen window looking out at the parking lot below. His hands were at his sides. His eyes were open. I touched his shoulder. He turned, slowly, and looked at me. Or looked in my direction. I'm still not sure his eyes were actually focusing on me. And then he walked past me down the hallway and into his room and closed the door. I stood in the kitchen for a long moment. I Googled sleepwalking at 2:30 in the morning and read that you shouldn't wake a sleepwalker abruptly, that they could become confused and distressed, that the best approach was to gently guide them back to bed. I hadn't woken him abruptly. I was fairly certain I hadn't woken him at all. The next morning, I mentioned it over coffee. He looked genuinely surprised, said he'd had episodes as a kid but nothing for years. He apologized. I said he hadn't scared me. That wasn't entirely true. There was something about the stillness that unsettled me, not the movement of a restless sleeper. Something more considered. He had been standing at that window like someone looking at something specific. I told myself I was projecting. A person standing at a window in the dark is not inherently ominous. I moved on. It happened again 4 nights later. This time I found him in the hallway outside his own room, standing with his back against the wall, facing my door. Facing my door. His eyes were open in the same way, that unfocused, present but not present quality. I guided him gently back into his room, and he went without resistance, like something on a track, and lay back down, and I pulled his door mostly closed and went back to bed and lay there staring at the ceiling for a while. In the morning, I told him again.